Welcome to the Christian Contractor Podcast.
Christian Contractor Podcast.
A show created for kingdom-driven Christian contractors that are focused on scaling their business in God's name while positively impacting the world around them. If you're ready to ascend from a contractor to a purpose-driven business owner, we're here to serve you. Here's your host, Brandon Guthrie.
Thrive in roofing for over 40 years. What's up? I'm Brandon Guthrie with Dream Design Labs on the Christian Contractor Podcast, where it's our mission to help Christian contractors bring the passion and purpose back into their business and scale it in the name of God so that we can positively impact the world through the abundance we create together. Thanks for tuning in. I'm super excited to have Tammy with Professional Roofing Services in Las Vegas with me today. Tammy, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. I really appreciate you being here. I know you're busy running a business, and so you took time out of your busy day to be here. So I really appreciate it. Other contractors listening in right now are on the edge of their seats wanting to take away the golden nugget that will help their business get to where you're at. So before we jump into the magic, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us the story, kind of how you got to where you're at today.
Well, we're a family-owned business, a family legacy, actually. Since 1981, my father-in-law was in the roofing business in Las Vegas, and my husband, he followed in his father's footsteps, and I joined the company, shortly after we got married, and have learned everything about the roofing business. And so, we've owned this company. My husband and I have owned this company for 22 years now, and our family has been involved in the industry for over 40 years. We kind of try to take everything that was instilled in us in terms of customer service and community involvement and integrity and stewardship and servant leadership from what my father-in-law instilled upon us and take it forward.
Wow. So many businesses can't even make it 5 or 10 years, and yet you're here 22 years, and the family for 40 years. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it's come with its challenges for sure. There's been a lot of recessions in the last 22 years. There's been at least 2 major ones, and that we've been involved with, and we've gotten through it, and just all sorts of things that you learn, different changes in the industry, different changes in technology. Just got to keep up with everything.
And talk to me about that, challenges. I mean, as business owners, everybody faces them. You're not alone. That's everybody. That's life. I heard someone say this. They said business owners suffer, employees suffer, single people suffer, married people suffer, rich people suffer, poor people suffer. Build a life worth suffering for. And
Sure.
So we all go through challenges, and so you mentioned a couple of recessions there. Talk to us about some challenges and how you got through that, because just hearing your story for some people is gonna really help a lot of people out that are potentially going through some similar challenges right now.
Well, we had what everybody knows is the Great Recession of 2008, which was an incredibly challenging time. We had several bank failures, and so for us as a company, we literally saw just millions and millions of dollars in receivables that were owed to our company for roofs that we had installed, material that we had installed. The projects were funded by banks that failed. And there was not recourse for us. There was not a way to get any money out of that situation because those projects failed. They put up chains and fences around them, and so we had to make some really tough decisions. We had to close down certain divisions, and we had to go through some challenges, and then kind of come back together as a team to get through those times. We put a lot of different procedures in place. We really learned to track our cash flow, and focus on our core clients and our core values. That's just what we had to do. And unfortunately, you want to take everybody with you. You do. And we tried,
Right.
but, downsizing, growing a business is actually so much easier than downsizing a business. Growing a business it's exciting. It's challenging. Everybody's fired up to do it. Everybody wants to go run through the brick walls with you.
Right.
But downsizing a business because you have to, because the market is commanding that, and providing people with, severance and, job opportunities, at other places that we tried to refer people to other places, and we tried to, kind of just figure out how we were going to get through the time. Downsizing the business was really challenging, and but it was something that had to be done because it just was not feasible to to try to operate at the level we were operating at anymore. When not only did those projects fail and we weren't going to have those receivables, but new work that we had sold that was supposed to break ground wasn't going to break ground anymore because there wasn't any financing for it, right? So it kind of it was like an earthquake. It wiped everything out. And so I know a lot of contractors, fortunately in Las Vegas, we don't run into too many natural disasters, but a lot of contractors, a lot of people in business, they run into a lot of natural disaster issues that, kind of wipe them out and they have to rebuild. So for us, that was our earthquake or our life quake, right?
Right.
But we came back better. You always try to figure out, what is this trying to teach me, right? When life quakes
Yes.
hit, you have to figure
Yeah.
out what it's trying to teach you,
Yes,
right?
that was my next question, is being grateful. How can we be grateful for that? It's like, it's the hardest thing. One of the coolest things that I've learned in my journey, going through plenty of my own challenges, is the power, the skill and the power of learning how to be grateful for the worst days. How is it possible? So with that situation, how could you be grateful? What lessons did you bring out of that?
My goodness. I think we became grateful for the fellowship that we had with each other.
Mm,
By bringing in our team and being smaller, more of us sort of worked on the same projects and had our communication level increase. We had to be more hands-on, especially our upper management. So we did a lot
yeah.
of, making lunch in the in the kitchen, our shared kitchen, making soups and salads and things like that, and bringing them in and having, working through lunch and getting through it together,
Yeah.
just appreciating the good times when we had them, and
Yeah.
and getting through it. And, we did get through it. I mean, we got through it. The first year was the hardest year,
Right.
because, that was difficult. The first year was the hardest year, but we managed through it. So then when COVID hit, which what I would say would be kind of the second recession, right? That really, I mean, 2008 had a double dip recession. So you could say we had three recessions, but it was one big long recession, right?
Right.
So from 2008 to, I don't know, 15 or 16, right? Which was like a big long 8-year recession. You know, we just grinded it out, and we got up close and personal, and we worked and we worked and we worked and we worked, and, we, and that's what I'm most proud of. We have a lot of people here that they work hard, they know what they're doing, they take pride in what they're doing, and we take care of things. And so then the second, kind of like life quake was this COVID, which was,
Mm,
in hindsight, you know, gosh, I don't even know if we realize how peculiar of a time that really was,
mm,
right? The
mm.
Las Vegas Strip was shut down. Somebody born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, I never thought I would see that.
Huh, go
But
figure.
it was shut down, and people were riding their bikes, going for bike rides up and down the strip. The Las Vegas Strip was shut down. we had to make some decisions then too, for different health reasons or whatever, did not want to still come into work. We had to, as an emergency services contractor, still needed to come to work, but we had to set up some different ways of distancing, social distancing, right?
Yeah.
Health taking care of health issues, which we weren't getting any guidance from OSHA or from anybody about like how we needed to comply with their regulations. So we just did the best we could, and setting up PPE for all of us and everything, and distant and using our office space to social distance, using things like Zoom and stuff like that also. And then, even in the field, having our field workers take separate vehicles and distance from one another, and just all of the things that peculiar time had. And then of course everybody had kids. The kids weren't in school, so our kids were at home, and you're trying to figure out how to do new math with them, right?
Yeah.
And have them be safe and happy. And it was just a really time. And at first we didn't even know, right? I don't think if everybody remembers, right? Nobody even really knew what was going on, right? Like how severe is this going to be, right? And so, that created, there's a lot of businesses that have never come back since COVID. I mean, there was an awesome taco shop down the street from our office. I mean, it never came back, right? There's just so many businesses that never came back.
Yeah, here you are.
Yeah, after COVID. So here we are, right? And we got through that time. And so I think we were really prepared. My staff I had some new staff, and people were really scared during COVID about, oh my gosh, is the business going to fall apart? But, we relied sort of on our 7 pillars, and, that's what you just got to do. You just have to have a good it's like building a home. You got to have a good foundation. And every once in a while, give yourself a little bit of a facelift, but stick to your core.
Right. 100%. Wow. Yeah. And that's being in business that long and going through all those recessions. That's wild. Other businesses didn't make it, yet here you are. What's a lesson that you learned that made you better? How did that make you better? What did it teach you? Did it teach you perseverance? Did it build your character? What did it teach you through those processes?
I think it taught us the value of goodwill, right? Because our clients were working from home. You couldn't go knock on doors and go talk to people in their offices because they weren't in their offices. And if they were in their office, the doors were locked and you couldn't get in. So it really showed us what what the goodwill needed to be, how much goodwill we had in the community. People still had roof leaks at their homes, at their businesses, at their at things, that people still did work and needed to, because we're an emergency service contractor. So, you just got to focus on that. We've always focused on just doing what we say we're going to do.